You don't have to start over.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so glad I have somebody keeping track of me. Welcome to the 8th Chakra Summit Series, Meet Holly Briscoe. This is our Tuesday night call, and Lily and I are very excited to have all of you here having this conversation with the purpose of helping all of us master what it is to be human. And this is our free call. We have been joking. It is our Tuesday night call on Sunday night, just to throw everybody off. But it is our regular call that we do on Tuesday nights. And we do these calls in order to raise our own frequency just through conversation. And we're talking tonight about yoga, but we have talked about, gut health, and we've talked about astrology, and we've talked about all different kinds of ways to master your information. So our topics are always with the intention of helping us access more information. And we could be talking about any number of things, and we are excited for this one tonight. So we want to let you know to register. For those of you who may be sometimes wondering where you're going to go, you are going to the 8th Chakra website under events, and that's where you can click on the link to register for these calls. Those links will always be there, and you'll have an email that will allow you to register and to click in and be part of the call. So at the moment, we're kind of letting people get used to this. This is a new way of us connecting. We're normally on a instant seminar with a regular conversation, but we're now doing video and coming into the new age. So that's where you're going to find your link. That will be how you connect. When you come in, you can actually turn your voice, your sound off.
And we've got some folks that,
I see that.
If you could mute yourself, that would be really great. Or Bonnie,
yes.
if you can mute everybody.
It is way fun to to have all this new technology, right? All this new technology, but we've been using it for a while. It's just a new way of us doing that. So the first half of the phone call tonight is we're going to be talking to our guest, and then the second half of the call, we're going to be accessing the Akashic Records and the angelic realm and bringing in information, doing a theta healing, doing some alchemy. It's going to be crazy fun. There's a lot of new things going on. When we move to having you all interact with us, what you'll do is actually raise your hand, and that happens under the chat function, where you can raise your hand and then we will call on you and you can ask questions. We definitely encourage you to participate in the call and ask questions, and we absolutely love your input. I think I got everything in all that with all this craziness of stuff going on here. So Lily, I'm going to leave it to you to come up with some kind of conversation.
Sure, but we don't have our special guest on yet, and I just sent Holly a text message to see, where are you? But she hasn't joined us yet. So Bonnie, if you could, there's at least one person that's still, okay, that should be fine. So we're just waiting for Holly. So let's talk about Holly behind her back. That's all we're doing right now. So Holly is, well, first of all, she's a dear friend of both Bonnie and I. And of course, Bonnie has known her a lot longer than I have. And Bonnie's been going to yoga classes with with Holly for a long time. And I've been to a few of her classes. And I'm not as much of a yoga buff as Bonnie is, but I've had my yoga days. I used to be addicted to hot yoga. Holly Briscoe is absolutely an internationally known yoga teacher. She's also an alchemist and just an all-around amazing, amazing human being. And I'm really excited to be introducing her, even though she's not here.
Yay, there she is.
Holly, all right. So as I was saying, I was singing your praises before you got on here. I still don't see her on there.
I don't see her yet either.
There she is. Okay. So we'll want to, okay, so let me just finish introducing Holly and then we'll give the floor to Holly. It's such a pleasure for me to introduce Holly because I have grown to absolutely love and adore her. And her classes are amazing because I come from a very different background. Like I said, Bonnie's been a yoga buff. yoga is kind of new to me, although I was addicted to hot yoga for a very long time. And going to Holly's classes has definitely been a unique experience because Holly brings a whole new element to her classes that makes them very unique. She utilizes energy and she takes the time to explain things and really makes you as a participant feel like you know what you're doing. And she also takes the whole room into consideration. I don't know how you do that, Holly, but it seems to me like you're like getting into everybody's energy and you know where everybody is. And so you lead the class based on that. And you're just using your intuition and your beautiful energetic connection skills to do that, because I have never seen any other yoga teacher do that. So it is my pleasure tonight to welcome you, Holly. Thank you so much for being here and for sharing your wisdom with us.
Oh, thank you so much. It's taken me 15 minutes to get into this situation. I won't even, but I'm happy to be here.
Okay, so Holly has been, as I said, I've known her for a while, but Bonnie, is there something that you would like to say about Holly? I mean, I know that you've known Holly for so long, so I'm sure there's something that you would like to add to what I already beamed about.
I think you covered most of it. I am definitely a Holly yoga addict, and most people will say that if I'm not in class, they know that Holly isn't probably going to be there, because that's how addicted I am to her class, and very little gets in the way of me attending her class. But the piece for me that has been so amazing is this energy piece and how good you feel when you walk out of class. And I love the piece that she says about being yoga stoned. So I'd like to, we can just get Holly to give us some details on the yoga perspective. How long you've been doing yoga? You've been doing yoga a long time. Kind of what brought you into yoga?
18, 19 years, somewhere in there.
Yeah. So what brought you to yoga to start with?
I was actually working at a ladies' gym in Jupiter, and I was managing it, which is crazy for me to even think about. And you always want the new hot thing. You want the new hot thing to keep people inspired for fitness and things like that. And we were having a meeting, and I just said, hey, why can't we do yoga? No one's doing yoga. And we're all looking at each other. She's like, well, I wouldn't know where to get yoga. I said, somebody go buy a video. Someone go buy a video, start to learn it, regurgitate it, and have a class. And they looked at me and they said, can we do that? And I said, why can't we do that? So that's where the yoga thing started, at least in my gym. And there was these little glass walls, and I used to just stare and be like, oh my gosh, it's so pretty. I want to do that. And I grew up being a gym rat. So the whole muscle thing. So I was very tight. I was very uncoordinated. And every once in a while I'd go out there and I'd try it and I'd hate it. And I was like, ugh, but I was obsessed. So there I am in my little office staring at people doing yoga, and I just couldn't give up. So it was about my fourth class when I had my let go Shavasana experience, which is when you get hooked. So the rest is history.
Wow. You know, so many people are doing yoga nowadays, but I don't think that people really connect with the full benefit of yoga. And your approach is so holistic, and you bring a lot of, let's say, tools from other alternative, let's say, alternative health practices and energetic practices. You really bring that and fold that into what you do. So can you share with us, Holly, a little bit about maybe what's been the most valuable tool that you've been able to fold into your practice, and how can people get more informed about really those benefits of yoga so that they can take full advantage of it?
Well, you know, I was thinking about this today. We could talk about the benefits of yoga for a very, very long time. But as you guys know, and anyone who takes my class regularly, my favorite thing about it is the awareness that you gain about how the energy moves in your body and about how the energy works. So people use yoga to get stronger. People use yoga to rebound from injuries. They use them to prevent injuries. A lot of people get into the yoga sutras. They learn to relax. They learn to meditate, all of those things, which is great. And just about every yoga teacher you come across will have their own little niche. As anyone who takes my class knows, I'm an energy junkie. It's always about energy. It's about aligning your energy. It's about balancing your energy and to have as much of it flowing as you can all the time. So that's kind of my focus for sure.
So it's almost like a lot of people get very focused on the poses, but for you, the focus is really on the energy. The poses are really more like a way to get there, right?
It is. It's an invitation to listen to your body in any particular pose. Some of us need to have certain things strengthened. Some of us need to have certain things stretched. We all need to have it opened, and we all need to have all of our energy flowing so we can feel good. And I say it in class all the time. It's not about how it looks. It's about how it feels. And the postures themselves are just tools. There's certain properties to relaxing and stretching postures. There's certain properties to your standing and balancing postures. I'm a big fan of core strength just because that's where it's at. So that's where you stir up so much of the energy and generate so much of the heat in your center. And then you can use that extra heat and that energy to move it everywhere else in the body so you feel good.
Now, I know from your class that you have sort of a special process that you go through when you do class, that it's really important to you. We probably spend a half an hour warming the body up, and then you often talk about how you if I'm in class, I can tell you exactly how you say it, but it's like we're breaking the body down and then putting it back together the way we want. So I think it's an awesome philosophy, and I'd love it if you would share that with everyone else so they have that perspective.
And that's kind of the sequencing thing, which it's taken me many, many, many years to kind of get the vibe of that, which I really attribute most of it to Yoga Works. A lot of it, I credit a lot of the energy work that I've done. So there's that piece as well. One of the best things you can do to be a good yoga teacher is to really take care of yourself. Get out there, use all the modalities, use all the tools, try this, see if you like this. How does this make you feel? How does that make you feel? Because it's like once you figure it out in your own body, it's like, okay, then I can start to communicate it for other people in their bodies. So yes, the warm up is huge, huge. We all work better. Our body parts work better after you warm them up and after you get the energy flowing. And all you have to do is hop into a really strong posture cold and see how that feels for you. It's like, ugh. And it's like, no, the yoga postures are not supposed to make you feel that way. Yoga postures are supposed to be like, oh yes, this is good. I'm warm enough to do this. This is strong. I feel amazing. Yes. So we're kind of looking for that.
Yeah, it's absolutely a lovely piece to that. I know Lily was talking about the information that you bring to yoga, and over the past year, you've spent a lot of time working with alchemy and connecting with that. How do you bring that part into yoga now?
Well, I'm happy that I got a little bit of a warm up with Reiki. So that was in a lot of ways kind of preparing me, already incorporating Reiki into my private sessions with people doing yoga. And even in yoga class, I'll have a few people that I get a sense that need a little extra something, and I kind of focus on them. So I was already kind of in that mode of doing energy work. So when I started training to do alchemy, just took it to a whole other level. And what's great is before I even get to class, when I'm in my car, I'm already deciding, or I should say asking for all kinds of things for the class, which is great. So then anything that I pick up on once I'm there is just gravy. It's great. It's really great.
I never thought about that ride to class before.
Well, let's give our audience an opportunity to ask questions. So if for our audience, if you click where on the little window that says, or the little icon that has participants on the bottom of your screen, that'll pop up the participants, and then there's a little box there that says mute me, raise hand, claim host. So don't press claim host, but you can press raise your hand, and then we'll call on you and we'll unmute.
That's a really complicated way to raise your hand, but yay, let's see people raise their hands. That would be
okay.
Awesome.
Robin has her raised hand, so and then John does. So let's go with Robin. Robin, let's unmute Robin, or you can unmute yourself, or I think Bonnie's in charge of the muting. I don't have any control here.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Robin.
Okay,
Hi, Robin.
really important question. Where do you do yoga?
Oh my goodness. Well, you can catch my full schedule on my website at hollybriscoeyoga.com. But I teach at several studios in the Jupiter area, Zeal Studio, Zeal Yoga, and Kula Yoga Shala, Yoga Palm Beach, and I just started at Mystic Yoga in Juno Beach. And then
Cool.
most of the work I do is private these days, which I'm happy to say.
Okay, and that's all on your website too?
It is all on my website. There's information about finding the right class for you. The yoga menu is huge.
Good point.
And it's important to kind of think about what you're wanting to get out of yoga, because you have your relaxing, stretching, meditative yoga, you have your work hard yoga, and everything in between. So, you know, it's easy for people to take one class and think, oh, yoga's not for me. But you kind of need to think about what you're wanting to get out of it, and then finding the right kind of yoga, and then finding a teacher that you vibe with.
Okay.
You know?
Well, I know hot yoga is not for me.
Me either.
I did it once and it was brutal. But I do really love yoga. I did yoga a few times out of Yoga Path down in West Palm Beach. Really enjoyed it, and for some reason got away from making the time to do it. And now I really like to get back into it. So
Cool. Thanks, Robin.
Great question. All right, we have, I was ready to do John. Go ahead, John.
Hi, Holly. I
Hey,
got a
John.
question. Excuse me while I'm dying here online. You got me all choked up. Do you have videos on your webpage that, different things to look at and do? And, is that something that's on your webpage, or is that something on YouTube?
Not yet. I've been doing private custom YouTube videos for clients, but they tell me what they want, how long of a kind of a session that they want, but I haven't published anything for the public just yet, but I'm definitely getting the nudge.
Okay, well, get busy on that, Miss Internationally Savvy Yoga Alchemist.
I love that. Thanks, John.
Thank you, John. That brings up a question. Robin's question about where you do yoga brings up a question that I would love to ask, and that is, for those people that are local and can actually take classes with you in person, that's really wonderful. But what would you say to people that are in a yoga practice and learning with someone that isn't necessarily utilizing your unique approach using energy? What would you say to them that they could do in their practice because they can't come to your classes? What would you say? What can they do to bring their practice to another level utilizing some of your tools?
So they can do what I do when I'm really needing a class and I'm not very inspired by myself. Yoga Works is where my most recent training, and they're the ones that are very meticulous about a proper warm-up and a good sequence. So they have a huge collection of online classes on their website, which is great. You can plug in what kind of yoga you're wanting to do, how much time you have. It's great, and it's very affordable. Until I get up there.
So
And that's Yoga Works is just so people know, Yoga Works is all one word. Yoga Works.
Okay, we got some static going on. Rosanna, you have your raised hand. You're on.
Yes. Holly, my question. Hi, Holly.
Hi, honey.
My question is, I'm hearing that you offer different types of yoga. So one is, how would I know? And two, how long would it take for me to start feeling the difference? And is it going to have to be like an everyday deal, or 5 years, or, an idea? Because I want results, because if not, then I'm not going to hang with it,
Absolutely. It depends on the kind of results that you're wanting to get. I would say after one class, most people would notice a shift energetically. But are you wanting to learn to relax? Are you looking to gain flexibility? Are you looking to get stronger, to have a good workout, to be more focused? I mean, there's a lot of different factors to it. And then on top of that, we have to take your personality into account, which is a big part, actually. So if you are a go-getter and a bit of a busybody, and you're looking to relax and stretch, you can see how that might be a little bit challenging for you. So we can stick you into a gentle class and we can stick you into a yin class, but on a mental level, it might be too uncomfortable. So we might put you in a little bit more of an active class just until you get a little bit more comfortable to slowing things down. And then the reverse is true. If you like relaxing and you have a hard time getting off the couch, and you're looking to get stronger and you're looking to get more focused and some balancing postures and things like that, if we stick you from the couch into a power vinyasa class or into a hot yoga class or something really, really strong, you will probably be hating life. So
Wow.
it's nice to know that, like, in the middle is a good place to go, unless you're very clear that you're okay relaxing and stretching. We don't want you going nuts. We want you to enjoy your experience. It's important, otherwise you won't come back.
Yeah, well, it might be nice to do like a circuit of all of them, like try each one to see which is the one I vibe with the most.
Sure, absolutely. I always say it's yoga's a lot like pizza. There's no such thing as bad pizza. There's no such thing as bad yoga. You just end up finding what you like, or what you're in the mood for, or what works for you.
Okay. Thanks, Holly.
Thank you.
And I just have to say, on a lighter thing, being from Brooklyn, I think there is such a thing as bad pizza.
But pizza's pretty good.
Wow.
That's funny.
So,
Okay,
Holly,
cool.
I have a question for you. I've gotten notes here. That is, what happens physiologically and energetically when someone does yoga? Like when they're literally doing yoga, can you tell us some of the things that will happen to people?
Sure. So on a mental level, and this is one of the reasons that yoga can help us get through tough times, if you can get out of your head and into your body, it creates a little bit of a break for your brain, and your brain needs that break to have the opportunity to shift a pattern. Because if you're just stuck with that bee in a bonnet, or if you're stuck on the hamster wheel, or as the yogis call it, the Buddha monkey mind, it's hard to make any other choices for any other patterns that you might be up to. So people who struggle with the really tough stuff like addiction, a lot of people get into yoga getting through breakups. There's all kinds of things. It first and foremost, on a mental level, it creates a break. So you do have the opportunity to intend something else. And while we're still talking about the brain and the mind, we direct our energy with our thoughts. And that's why choosing our thoughts is huge. It's, as you hear me say in class all the time, it's profoundly important. So where your mind goes, your energy goes, and we all have a lot of energy. And I say it in class all the time, there just aren't enough words in the English language to describe what we feel energetically and the things that we can experience while we're practicing yoga. And that's just the mental aspect. And as far as the mind goes, the body goes, when there's tension in the body, the energy doesn't flow. We can get blocked for any number of reasons. We can get blocked because of physical blockages having to do with tension. We can get blocked because of pollutants. It could be the things that we eat. It could be the pollutants that we're constantly exposing ourselves to, not to mention, definitely not least, the emotional pollutants. Those are really, really powerful. And that's a big one. That's a really big thing. Just to kind of, our emotions, our energy, it needs to keep moving. It needs to keep flowing so we don't get stuck. Getting stuck is usually when we get uncomfortable. So aside from stretching things and keeping energy flowing, there's also a piece of getting stronger and feeling stronger. So let's say we're standing and we're standing on one foot, or we're doing some kind of balancing posture. Talk about sweeping out the brain. you have to focus so much that it's really hard to be obsessing over the things that you were obsessing about earlier in that moment, which is magical, really, because it does sweep out the brain. And then the fact that you can do it and you can focus and it makes you feel stronger and more confident. And then when you do things that you didn't think you could do, again, confidence, it's a very big deal. So it just depends on the kind of things that you're wanting to happen in yoga. And then the core strength, of course, you know, the energy that's generated from working your core. And we should probably even talk about that. It's not just your abdominals, although there are a lot of abdominals for sure, but it's also your back. I would even argue inner thighs and hip flexors. So that stability, that strength that comes from having your core energized and alive and awakened, it's very grounding, and it's a big deal. I hope I'm answering your question.
Yeah, absolutely. So is
I love I just love what you said, because I hadn't actually thought about it in that way. And it is that whole component and how the postures kind of force you to be present and attentive to what's happening in this moment. And that alone is such a huge mental, healing. So
it is. And I always say this, like, our bodies and our minds and our spirits, they're kind of like puzzles that we get to figure out. Initially, when you start getting into yoga, it's a whole very unique experience. But once you kind of go through that and kind of you let go of things emotionally and physically, and you kind of, like Bonnie mentioned earlier, you're kind of ripping things apart, things that don't work, and you're just peeling things away that you no longer serve your highest good. And then after that, you're kind of working on maintaining. But, and this is where I even say, it's kind of like golf. You don't ever master golf, and you really don't ever master yoga, because we have lives. We have lives with a lot of challenges, and things come up for us. We can have physical injuries. We can have a lot of emotional issues going on in our lives. Lives are, you know, I say it a lot, conscious living is not for sissies. So every day,
wimps not allowed.
oh my gosh. So every day when you do start practicing, it is like a puzzle. Like, ooh, this is tight. This needs to be released. Or, ooh, that doesn't feel very stable. I need to ground there. There's just a lot of different things that you can do. It's almost like you're just trying to bring your body into balance the best that you can. So you feel great.
I love that piece. And I know for myself that I came into doing yoga probably 6 or so years ago with you, and would have never considered crying. And then in the last 6 months, I have had so many times that I've been sitting in class in a pose and just feeling the tears rolling down my cheeks. So I assume that that's part of the pieces, the things that I've gotten into, the places that have been really tight, and I'm really letting that emotional release go.
Yes, it's huge. You can have an emotional release. You know, I could go on and on about all the different things that have come up for me in my practice. I remember being in a class in Miami and face down in this huge, like, hotel banquet room, and we're face down in a posture, and the teacher's encouraging us to breathe. And I had this, the only thing I can really describe it is like a hiccup. And it was deep in my lower belly. And I was like, what the hell is that? And then I feel something like traveling up on the inside from my belly up towards my throat. And I'm like, oh, I'm about to bawl my eyes out. I'm about to do an ugly cry. And I don't know if I want to do an ugly cry in this room full of people. And it was almost like the teacher had planned it, because about the time that this ugly cry was making its way out, I grabbed the towel, the lights went off, and it was like, and I got the sense that it was old. I just, you know, and it doesn't matter what it is. I mean, you can have fun with that if you want to, but at the end of the day, the good news is you're letting go of it. And I walked out of that class feeling like I lost 20 pounds and that I was 2 inches taller. And I did not care that I looked like Alice Cooper. It was the last thing on my mind. And I hugged the teacher and I gave him a big kiss. And I was like, thank you so much. Because the profound releases for me at that point were pretty new. And, you know, we don't talk about it that much. You know, if you tell people you might bawl your eyes out, they might not come to yoga. Some people are really comfortable with the process. Some people are not. You know, I've had people in class that are like, oh my gosh, I just realized I'm really a jerk. I love my family. I need to go call them. I'm like, yes, you absolutely should.
Wow.
So there's a lot of different interesting things that can come up when you're on your mat.
And that kind of touches the surface of the spiritual aspect of yoga, which is really, you know, why yoga came to humanity. Really was for more like that spiritual aspect, and as it migrated to the West from the East, it's kind of morphed into more like exercise, right? A lot of people do yoga for exercise, but really what you're talking about is really what it's supposed to be, which is to help you bring all that stuff to the surface and help you be more present and help you raise your consciousness and help you become more aware of who you are and why you're here, and you know, which is what eighth chakra is all about. So
yes,
so that's really, really cool.
Yes. I've had situations where I was in Shavasana and I was like, how is it that I'm nauseous, but only at my heart center? I mean, who would even understand that unless you've been through it? So then at that time, I'm like, okay, something's happening at my heart. What's happening at my heart? So in my limited knowledge back then, I start going through the chakras and I'm thinking, well, heart chakra. What's your heart chakra about? That's about compassion. That's about love. That's about having an open mind. I'm going through everything that I know about it, waiting for like a ping. And I was like, forgiveness. And it was like, that's it. I felt inside like, that's it. That's it. And I was like, forgiveness. What do I need to forgive? What do I need to? And it became so clear. And then, and then again, the tears, you know, not that it was a big dramatic thing, but just recognizing it was like your soul is on the inside going, yes, 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 that, listen to that, listen to that. And then it's cleansing on so many levels. It's so great.
Wow.
I think it's fabulous. Absolutely. You know, you mentioned there's some myths that people have about yoga that I'm just wondering if maybe you pick a couple of them. The ones I think about is the part about when you go to yoga and you feel nauseous, or you go to yoga and your legs start shaking and it's like, oh my gosh, what is that? Or the one that is, women do yoga, men don't.
Oh my goodness. So getting nauseous means you're detoxing, and that's wonderful. I mean, it may not be the most pleasant thing happening in that moment for sure, but the whole point is to cleanse. One of my teachers along the way used to say that yoga is like soap for your insides. You're scrubbing, and you can be scrubbing out physical things. You can be scrubbing out mental things, emotional things. So you're just trying to get rid of what we call in alchemical healing, the foreign energy, the stuff that doesn't belong. So being nauseous is actually a good thing. And the more you breathe and move through it, the better you get at processing it. I remember the first couple times going through it, it was enough for me to pick up my mat and leave the room. So I understand it when people have that, but I'm just like, your body just gave you a signal. Hold on, just breathe. I'm not asking you to push. I'm not asking you to be uncomfortable. In fact, I really take a lot of measures to make sure that people aren't uncomfortable, but just, breathing through it. Same thing with emotions. One of the biggest indicators on your mat is if you can't breathe deeply, then you're not practicing yoga. So when people come in there with that mindset that they do with every other sport of like, get it, push, it's like, no. That's not what we do. We listen to our edge. We're working at that place where you're working and you might even feel a little bit challenged, but you don't feel pushed and you don't feel overwhelmed. And that in and of itself is such a beautiful recipe for a great way to be in life. One of my favorite sayings is, how you do anything is how you do everything. So learning to show up for people, learning to show up at work, showing up for ourselves in life, just the way we are on our mat, it's kind of a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
that's the nausea for sure. And then the breath. And then yoga being for women is just absolutely not true. If you look at the history, Ashtanga was actually designed for overactive teenage boys to help them focus and control and build their bodies and get strong and things like that. So, and back to the yin and the yang, everyone needs it for different reasons. And it's not about competing. It's really about bringing balance to whatever's going on with you in your life. So maybe you're in a place where you're really focusing on everything physical and you're just tight and on the verge of injury, then your yoga should be really chill. And it should be about stretching and breathing and opening and invigorating the body and letting it heal. But maybe you're on the other side of that coin and you're not doing much and you need to get off the couch or you're stuck or you don't know what to do. You're not inspired. You're just like, so you do need something to kind of jut you into action and kind of rattle your cage a little bit and to help you feel strong, and something that's going to sweep out your mind of any of those like lethargic or melancholy feelings. It's like sweeping out the cobwebs. It's like, yes, I am strong and I am vibrant and it's good to have vitality, all those things. And I just gave you the extremes. There's so many in between.
Wow.
Awesome.
Well, I think we could talk to you for at least 2 hours about all your wisdom, Holly. But we're gonna move into the second part of our call now. And again, this is a very special pre-recorded session for our normally recorded sessions on Tuesday night, the 8th Chakra Free calls. And so thank you, Holly, for being here
Thank you so
sharing with us
much.
your beauty and your love.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys. Thanks for having me.
So we're now going to move into the second part of our call. And as those of you that have been with us before know, we now, Bonnie and I opened the Akashic records before we start this call. And so we are already in the records, and we now will bring in messages from the masters of light that are in the Akashic realm for this group. And that includes those of you that are here live with us on this special Sunday night call for our Tuesday night call. And also for those of you that will be listening to this recording, because you will also benefit from the downloads of the healings. And so we're going to now move into this beautiful, beautiful moment of us bringing in messages from the Akashic realm. So go ahead, Bonnie.
So one of the things I love about doing these calls and chatting with people before I give messages is that I get messages and words that people will say will be highlighted for me. And there's these pieces that are just like, that's important, that's important. And it often reminds me of how it is when I was studying in college, that, you go through your text and you highlight the pieces that are important to remember. And the 2 pieces that I got for tonight was that your body gives you a signal and that we always want to follow the energy. And the piece for the body always gives us a signal is that we have been provided with these incredible bodies that allow us to experience the world in so many different ways. And, we're used to talking about the 5 senses with our touch and our seeing and our hearing, our smelling, and our whatever I forgot. Because I'm focused on something very different, but we're used to experiencing the world in those aspects. And the piece that is really important for us to understand is that those are gifts for us, but that there's so many other ways for us to experience the world and experience what is going on with us. And we are moving into those spaces now, into those places. We're becoming, more clairsentient and being able to really know our bodies even more and to connect with so much more than what most of us have been able to connect with before. And, I am being given the example of walking into a room for myself and being really clear that I suddenly have, this like pounding headache that I didn't have before I walked into the room, and understanding that it doesn't belong to me, that it probably belongs to somebody in the room, and I'm being made aware of it so that I can help that person out. And it by no means that I'm unique and special. It just means that I have come more into this awareness, than more than someone else, but that it is all of those things are available for us, and that we are used to not being like that. We are used to, just if I'm feeling something, I am feeling something because it is mine. And so it's the piece about us becoming more aware and more connected with that there are things going on the planet. There are frequencies that are coming into the planet that are giving us more access to our information, and for us to understand that it's not something to be afraid of or flip out or get panicked in any way, but for us to say, oh, this is one of those opportunities for me to pay attention and see what more is there for me. And the piece to add to that is about following the energy, for you to understand that this signal that your body is giving you is a clue for you to follow the energy, is a clue for you to take those steps and say, oh, what is that is going on with me? Oh, I'm feeling a headache in my example, and it doesn't belong to me. So what can I do with that? What is there for me to do with it? And to follow it and see what is there. That's how we're all becoming more connected and more aware with ourselves and what is happening. In the last 24 hours, actually last night at midnight, we did have a new frequency that came onto the planet. Lily and I are going to be talking a lot more about this in the coming weeks, because the frequency that has come in is absolutely beautiful. It is the frequency of clarity. And I love it, because what could be better than to have clear understanding, have clarity in this piece about what signals my body is having, where I'm supposed to be following the energy, what I'm supposed to be doing next, what is my purpose in life, how am I supposed to handle this situation at work, or how am I supposed to connect with a new relationship, or move past this challenge in this particular relationship. And so if there's ever been a gift that has been given to us that can be more useful, I'm not exactly sure what it might be, because the clarity piece is something that we all can use more of, and really connect with what our purpose is, why we are here, what we are healing, what we are resolving, what we are looking to move through to feel better. As Holly says, we really want to feel better. The object is to get through whatever is the issue and get to the other side so that we feel good. We are allowed to feel good. We are allowed to really connect with ourselves, connect with love, connect with clarity, and move into what is next for us. And these frequencies that are coming in, these frequencies of radiance and clarity, are really just here for us to be able to continue to move into what is next for us, and to clear out those old cobwebs. I love that. They're just giving me this really clear message that we're clearing out the cobwebs tonight and moving some more of the stuff that has kept us stuck, that has kept us in a feeling that we don't know what is next, that we don't know what we're moving through. And so we're moving a lot more of those energies out that are getting us kind of wrapped in a, that's funny, they're giving me kind of wrapped in a tizzy. So I'm going to continue working on that and moving some of those energies out of everybody who's on the call and everybody who is going to be listening to it later on. And I'm going to pass it over to Lily.
Thanks, Bonnie. Oh my gosh, yes. Well, you were hearing, what was that expression that you just said? It just flew out of my head, because they keep giving me issues in the tissues.
That's an awesome one.
And that's what I keep hearing, the issues in the tissues. And what the masters in the Akashic realm are really wanting us to connect with right now is the simplicity of our experience here on this planet. And they're wanting me to kind of bring together the conversations that Holly has so graciously and with so much wisdom brought in, which is that connection with our body. Our physical apparatus is what they always call it, is how I always hear them say it. That's what they call our body, is a physical apparatus. And our physical body is not the only body that we have. We also have a mental body and an emotional body. We have a spiritual body, and then we have the light body, our astral body. And all these bodies are vehicles that our soul, our essence, our I am presence, our higher self, whatever you want to call that part of ourselves that is the connected with source part of us, those are the vehicles that our soul uses to function in the experience that we're having on this earth, in this plane. And so they're wanting us to really understand the simplicity of it all, even though it does feel like so complex. But yoga is one of the ways that we do connect the mind and the body and the soul. And that's one of the beautiful things about the yoga practice. And Holly talked, one of the things that Holly said that was just so hit me was that the moment of those postures when you're connecting with that physical aspect, but then you're also feeling the impact on you emotionally and mentally. And really, that's what any exercise, anything that you do with your physical body is going to connect you mentally and emotionally. We've all always heard about that runner's high as an example, because I've been a runner in my life. And so I've experienced that runner's high. And for those of us that practice weightlifting or swimming or whatever it is, I mean, if any of you have been watching the Olympics, I mean, you know that these athletes are having a lot more than a physical experience. But the beautiful thing about yoga is that when we're in these postures, because of the movement and the way that we connect our bodies, it's not a fast motion like when you're jogging or when you're swimming or, you know, in a race. It's really a very individual practice where you're connecting with all those areas. And so when Holly shared about that experience that she had, that feeling that she had that moved up from her abdomen area all the way into her throat, this is just a beautiful example of how when we are working a practice like yoga, that we are connecting with those other light bodies, and how important that it all comes to energy. And this is what they want us to refocus on, is that it's energy. So as they're saying this, I'm feeling the frequencies coming in right now, and I can feel that clarity frequency, Bonnie, that you just talked about. We are being bombarded on this planet. We're so blessed because never before in the history of humanity have we been gifted with so many high frequencies that are coming in cosmically to assist us on our path as we master. And Holly said, you don't ever master yoga. You don't master, there's so many things we don't master, right? But we're on a path to mastering it. And Eighth Chakra Company is about mastering what it is to be human, but we're not going to ever master what it is to be human. But it's really such an amazing experience to be on a path to mastering it, because the human experience is what allows our soul to grow and to expand, and also to bring that growth and expansion into the cosmos. And so they're bringing in now frequencies for us, not just the clarity frequency that came in last night, but also I am now seeing peach frequencies coming through for us. Peach is a frequency of comprehension, and it allows us to really understand what's moving on and what's going through our bodies as we're connecting with our bodies and the mental plane and the emotional plane. So as these frequencies are coming through for everyone, whether you're on this call live or you're listening to the recording, as these peach frequencies are coming through for us, they are providing healing. And what they're actually doing is lifting, similar to the way Holly spoke about that experience that she had where she connected with her heart and she knew that something was going on with her heart chakra. And as she explored it, forgiveness was the thing that pinged for her. It was the experience of bringing in forgiveness into her heart and into her life that helped her move whatever that was out of the tissue, let's say, because the issues are in our tissues. whether we're talking about experiences that we've had in this lifetime or experiences that we've had in prior lifetimes, which is why it is so useful when we do have issues that are impacting us and we can't identify the source of that being in this current lifetime. It's so valuable to be able to go to a past lifetime through the Akashic realm and identify what is the source origin of that issue so that we can then bring it to the surface and heal it. And that is one of the most valuable things that we can do. So as these pitch frequencies are coming through, and they're coming through the 8th chakra down into the crown chakra, and literally moving through along with the frequency of clarity, moving through the meridian system, moving through our circulatory system, moving through our respiratory system. They're showing me now a pair of lungs and how important the lung and the respiratory system is to processing everything that has to do with the circulation of life force in our body. As we allow the circulation of life force through our respiratory system to move through our bodies, we bring healing to our bodies. Oxygen is such an important component. And I wish I could bring Holly back on right now so that she could tell us about the breath, because so much of yoga is like, and it was like I said, we could talk to Holly for 2 hours, but the breath is such an important aspect of yoga. And also your attention, where your attention is, that's where the energy is flowing. So as we bring oxygen and breath and life force and knowledge and wisdom that we are receiving through these higher planes of frequency and frequencies, we then will be able to bring to the surface all the things that we need in order to heal the trauma. We could call issues trauma as well. And they're now focusing on us to be able to know that. So here, they want me to pause. And they want me to pause for a second because there's a lot of people that are listening to this call, whether you're listening to the recording or you're on the call live, that you are experiencing what we would call trauma in your life. And it is manifested for you in the physical, could be through a pain like the headache that Bonnie talked about, or it could be through the nausea that could be experienced in the middle of a yoga practice, or it could be through a mental condition of anxiety or depression, or a moment of desperation or worry. We experience trauma in a lot of different ways in our life. And so they want us to really get present to that trauma in our life. And they want us to know that everything that we are experiencing in our life that we experience as trauma is very, very temporary. And they don't want to in any way invalidate the degree of impact that that has in our lives. But they want us to know that there is so much more beyond that trauma, and that part of that trauma we have brought in, well, all of the trauma, we have brought it into our life in order for us to understand and comprehend what is on the other side of that trauma, so that we can then experience freedom. We can't experience full freedom if we haven't experienced what it is to be bound by a trauma, what it is to be bound by anxiety or worry or depression. And many of us experience that at one point or another in our lives, and some of us experience it for prolonged times during our life. But they want us to know that the practice of bringing life force in, the practice of presence, such as can be achieved in yoga, is very valuable, as well as the practice of meditation. These practices allow us to bring presence, life force into our physical apparatus, which is only another reflection of all the bodies that we are at any given time working through, our physical, our mental, our emotional. So if we heal something in our physical body, that will be reflected in our mental body, and vice versa. If we heal something in our mental body or we heal something in our emotional body, it will be then reflected in our physical body. So what they are wanting us to understand is that it doesn't matter which aspect, which body you focus on, but focus on one of those bodies, because whatever trauma you're experiencing is being reflected in all those bodies. So pick the one that you most resonate with. Do you resonate with a physical practice? Then by all means, focus on a physical practice, because as you heal the physical aspect of your life, the mental and emotional aspects will heal along with it. On the other hand, if you're more interested in a mental practice or an emotional practice, such as prayer or meditation or other practices that tend to be more mental, like creativity, if you focus there, that will bring healing to your physical body as well, because all our bodies are very interconnected. So as these frequencies are coming through for us, it's allowing us to comprehend where we need to focus, and with clarity be able to then select and choose, and then stand inside of the awareness that freedom from all trauma is possible for us now. It's possible for us through the trust in our essence, through the trust in source, and it's possible for us in being aware that everything that we have experienced and are experiencing is coming from to us from our own choices and from our own agreements. And that is a beautiful thing to be able to know, that we're only moments away from freedom from all trauma simply through trust and awareness. And so these frequencies that are coming through are going to help us and are helping us in this moment to allow us to know what is the next step for us. And they're saying that literally when we get off this call, every single person that has listened to this call, you are going to have like an inspiration of something that is ready and next for you to bring your awareness to the level that it needs to be so that you can begin to release whatever trauma you're most focused on right now. So that's a really, really amazing thing for us to focus on. And then the last thing that they want us to really understand is that we are loved beyond measure by source and by all the light beings that are supporting us on our journey here. Beyond measure, we are loved beyond measure. So let's let that love in, let's feel it in our hearts, and let's trust that we are on the right path, and all of us will be gaining the knowledge and the awareness to take the next step, and then the next step, and then the next step. Oh, beautiful frequencies coming through. Okay, Bonnie, thank you.
Thank you. Wow, that one was so cool. It was so different from your normal pieces, but so beautiful. We want to thank all of you for joining us tonight. I want to let you know that Lily is going to be teaching a DreamWorks class. For those of you, and several of you have mentioned it to me separately, who are interested in doing the Akashic Records and the DreamWork, this is your opportunity. It's going to be starting in March 21st, and it is on Lily's site, and it is going to be on the 8th Chakra site as soon as I put my button gear. Sorry, just realized that. But we also have a really awesome opportunity for you all. The Healing Power of the Akashic Realm, the Life Aspects course is going to be starting again. A new series is going to be starting on March 5th, Monday, March 5th. And that is going to be an amazing class. And then next week, I'm so excited. We have so many fun people. Next week, we are going to be talking to Leanne Barbado, and she is a certified body talk specialist and an alchemist. This is the coolest stuff ever. The fact that your body can talk to you and tell you exactly what it needs is just beyond cool. You all have got to show up. We'll be back on Tuesday night next week, and that is March 6th. We're going to be doing that. And then for those of you who want to tell your friends about this incredible call that we had with Holly, we're going to be replaying it again on Tuesday night at 7:30. So you'll be able to catch that. Lily, do you have anything else you want to add besides
I want
to
let everybody know that we are in the middle of a rebranding and changing venues and technology. So thank you everybody for your patience. Part of our rebranding is that our Tuesday night calls will no longer be called the Enlightened Humanity Circle. That is going to remain the name of our Facebook community page, but our Tuesday night calls are not going to be called the 8th Chakra Company's Tuesday Night Call, which is always free. So just bear that in mind. And thank you all so much. And we're also going to be doing programs where we're going to be bringing in messages from the Ascended Masters, and we are so excited about that.
Yes, off the wall.
So thank you everyone for joining. Yes. Thank you everyone for joining us. We love you so much. Thank you for all your support, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Good night.
Good night.